Yeah, welcome back to the show. This is AM Show. My name is Gifty Andopi. Of course, I'm sitting in for Mamavi Osu Abuaji. Earlier on, you had Roland Walker with the two politicians, and we had another politician with Derek Akosam right there in Medina. So we are bagging off the politicians. We're going to talk about some development issues. And so I'm going to introduce to you two strong gentlemen I have here in the studio to help us deal or to do justice to the topic of toxic waste some way, somehow. Let me just tell you, they are Samuel Adoboy. Samuel Adoboy is component manager for Energizing Development Ghana projects by GIZ. You're welcome, sir. I also have here in the studio with me Alex Kwame Donyana, who is Associate Advisor on Energy with the Netherlands Development Organization. Thank you very much, sir, for coming through.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we'll be having a conversation, but what are we having that conversation about? Now, deaths related to toxic smokes are on the rise in Ghana, and the worst victims are people involved in agro-processing. In a two-part documentary, Joy News' Justice Bedu chronicles the stories of women in the fishing town of New Takrady on how the use of inefficient cook stoves is affecting their lives and contributing to the loss of Ghana's forest. Now, that documentary premieres, of course, on Joy News tonight at 6:30 p.m. But this is a short teaser ahead of that premiere. Watch this.
Hard work, pulling nets with hopes the day's catch would be worth the toil. Welcome to New Takrady, a big fishing community on Ghana's west coast. I've come here to meet the hundreds of women who are the backbone of this fishing industry, smoking and selling fish. Middle-aged Ama Amwaba has been smoking fish all her life. She depends on it for a living with her 3 children. But the toxic smoke that she suffers from the activity is now putting her life on the line. She now suffers a lung infection that makes it difficult breathing.
Mama Coco, ammonia shop prunes. I could rust a woman who would be naddy. You are saying, Yana de Quay Hospital. No, I shall know I'm on the way. And I'm there when it's a man to me and Jay. A mayor in the West now, I'm a co-whistle. And made the dinner to Madame Amuko, and me feel no harm.
Ama is just one of thousands of women who are bearing the brunt for household air pollution, mainly from the use of inefficient cook stoves. Nearly 17,000 Ghanaians die every year as a result of inhaling toxic smoke.
With the current oven that they are using, it consumes a lot of firewood. It means you need to spend more on the firewood. And apart from your health, the only thing is the firewood. You need to spend more of it. And you know, when you go to the communities who have the wetland around their area, they cut the mangroves from the wetland and use it to smoke fish, which also affecting our wetland. It means we are degrading our wetland. And you know, our fish stocks go and bleed in that wetland. Most of them go there, and we have a time that they move to the sea. And yes, so if we are degrading the wetland, it means a gradual process. We are telling all our fish that's coming spawned in the wetland to move to the sea.
The result of inefficient cook stoves in Ghana goes beyond the health of people. With more than 70% of Ghanaian households relying on fuel wood for cooking, the impact on the country's forest is now at alarming levels, with more than a third of the forest cover lost over the last 2 decades alone. Call it the firewood workshop and you wouldn't be far from the reality. In this community alone, there are hundreds of spaces like this one where truckloads of firewood are broken down into pieces just to smoke fish. And this is one of the many reasons why Ghana has lost nearly a third of its forest cover in the last 20 years alone. The increase in toxic smoke, depleting forests, and lives that are now under threat as a result are just a few of the many problems that contribute to climate change. And with the world now talking about ways of reversing the trend, the country must now see this as an urgent problem worth a serious attention. Justice Bedu, Joy News, New Takrady.
Obviously worth serious attention. Everything climate change is worth our attention. Although we don't seem to see the impacts at the moment, we live to bear the consequences of it. Now, there is a new project that is seeking to reduce the impacts of cook stove smoke on fuel wood users. That toxic smoke is responsible for half of all deaths in children under 5 years here in Ghana. So Justice Bedu visited the central regional town of Bontrace to see how these cook stoves actually work.
My name is Shilapia Kubi, the Marketing and Relations Manager for Microfin Rural Park.
Sheila works with women in Gary processing in a small town called Bontrace.
Microfin Rural Bank partnered SNV in order to improve the lives of the clients we deal with. We realized that their cook stove, the improved cook stove, is a bit okay for the health of our clients. When I say it's okay, I mean it looks at some of the health hazards that our clients were going through when they were using the old or the traditional way of smoking gari. This time round, they have a bigger stove, the pan is big. You are able to sit at the edge of the pan to fry your gari. If you want to stand or sit or lie.
The work she does is under the Productive Use of Energy in Agro-Processing Initiative, a project by the Dutch development organization SNV. The project seeks to cut down the use of inefficient cook stoves that is responsible for nearly 17,000 deaths yearly, mainly from toxic smoke. Lack of funding is what stands between users like these women and improved cook stoves. So the project works with local banks like Microfin to grant credit for its purchase. This is a farming community that is heavily reliant on agro-processing. And so places like these where women can come and process their gari could easily be the heartbeat of the local economy. And it's the reason why the source of energy could be crucial. And with the involvement of local banks to make it possible for these women to purchase these improved cook stoves on credit, it's not just about aid money, but it's also about organizations helping local economies to boost trade.
Dazen onu ama jana ndosa je no gokwa na je galina ai na yidi enye yita anai o yita ejanu ko wo mu no de yi bifin no ka je ka kredi ndi itonye bede 100,000 gra botum da chu gali bag ya ai ya ide ya ko ni botum da chu bada kutukuna basa ndi on nyane zi obwa pa mama
These new stoves are able to reduce fuel wood waste by more than 60%. This offers hope, especially for the hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians involved in agro-processing. It is important that the needed support is given to scale this up. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Bontrace in the Central Region.
Some good work done there by Justice Bedu, looking at, the impact of the cook stoves, the differences in the cook stove, basically saying that, the bigger picture is climate change, but we're looking at the little contributions that are being made, by our women who also need to survive, who also need to pump their own efforts into the local economy, like he said. But is there any efficient way of doing this and still keeping our women in business? And that's where you two come in. So, it will be interesting to start with. I know that the two organizations work together, Energizing Development Ghana by the GIZ and then the Netherlands Development Organization. You're working together. What really is the focus? Are you looking to provide these cook stoves, which you believe are better than what they're using previously? Are you looking to provide it to them for free, or do they have to? It's not like there's a free lunch, but Obviously, people will go for things that are free. And if we are looking at protecting our climate, then we need to look at interventions that makes it easier. What really is your focus? And if I could start with, you keep looking at me, so I don't know. So should I start with the GIZ then?
Yes.
Okay.
This project is being funded by 6 donor countries in 26 countries, most of them in Africa. The focus is energy access, providing modern energy services for sustainable development. In Ghana, we are looking at using the grid for irrigation. We are looking at solar-powered irrigation systems, and then we are looking at improved cook stoves for agro-processing.
Okay, so this is just a part of a bigger project.
Okay. And the focus is always the productive uses.
Okay.
There are domestic uses and are productive uses. So we want to reduce, improve energy efficiency and improve health.
But I'm looking at 2 stoves in the documentary, but we see that they both use firewood anyway. So what makes one better than the other? Are you a better place to answer that?
Yeah. I think the opportunity we have by adopting an improved cook stove is that improved cook stoves, I mean, per the name, it gives you an idea of what it does. It burns fuel in a very sustainable way. And so what it means is that if you have somebody, say, using 100 Ghana cedi worth of firewood to produce X amount of fish, or say gari. Or any agro-processing product, what it means is that an improved cook stove will cut that percentage, fuel percentage, by say 50%. We even had 60%.
Oh, I see.
And so what an improved cook stove does is that it cuts down people's demand and expenditure on
But how are we sure of, I mean, is it scientifically proven? How are we sure that it's actually cutting down on anything at all?
I think there are 2 things involved here. Physically, for instance, if I have my stove, and before I had an improved cook stove, I was using the traditional stove, which has a lot of exit routes. So you have to push in a lot of firewood to be able to do X amount of cooking within, say, 3 hours or 1 hour. Now, the same person, I get a different stove. Now, the amount of firewood I was using before, I am seeing it physically, that I'm now using half, or say a third. That is one way you can identify that there is a change. One other way that you can also identify or acknowledge a change is by scientific testing. And in that regard, we are in collaboration under this project with the Institute of Industrial Research of the CSIR. I think they have received enormous support from the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves. Internationally, they are being supported to do testing in Ghana, and so they help us to confirm the gains that we are making.
Now you talk about looking at productive, so you're looking at the masses and then you're looking at domestic use as well. Your target has been to look at those who produce on a large scale. Is that so? And if that is the case, how far have you covered?
Initially, our target in Ghana had been first to do a demonstration, because this is the first time that it's being introduced. And then
you mean the one for the large scale production?
For the gari processors. We are looking at gari processing first. We did a demonstration covering 30 stoves. Now we are...
If you could just speak up a bit for me.
Yes, we did a demonstration covering 30 stoves, where we provided a subsidy, up to 50% subsidy for building these stoves for beneficiaries. Now we are in a scaling up phase, a phase where we are looking at 300, where we have reduced the subsidy to 20%.
Why?
And why? Because we want to promote a sustainable market.
So that when you walk off, they're not going to say we don't have money to buy it, so we're not buying it anymore. I see. Wouldn't you rather think of bringing in government to subsidize it, so that people can have it? Is that possible? Is there a possibility? Is it something that you're looking at? Because we're looking at donor organizations. We also know that donor funding keeps reducing, isn't it so? So we're looking at, if you're looking at sustainability, beyond, now you're reducing from 50%, you're going to 20%. what other way can you make this more sustainable? Can you bring in government? Is that possible? Do you see that as a possibility?
Yes, it is a possibility, but government funding sometimes is limited. So we are looking to the private sector, microfinance institutions that provide a host of other services to these clients to come in and support them.
In that case, you have to make it very attractive to them.
Sure.
What, apart from testing and telling them that this is it, and you know, what are the efforts you're making? What are the strategies to make it attractive to the Gari processors and then to the fisher folk? Because I mean, we know our folks. If it's cheaper, we'll always go for the cheaper. You know, so.
I think Ghana, we stand to gain a lot if we can work together collectively to expand access to improved cook stoves in the country, because when you look at the extraction, I mean, our environment and what we use our wood for, apart from extracting for forex, I mean, exchange, foreign exchange, I think the next major threat to environmental sustainability is extracting wood and using them on inefficient cook stoves. And so expanding access is key, and then, expanding access is key. And so what we have identified in this drive by expanding access is the role of, I mean, finance.
Okay.
Access to finance is major. As Mr. Adebayo said, it would have been an ideal case to have the government supporting most of these women to in some way to access the funds. But just as I said, government's attention is quite wide. And so sometimes it may come, but it may be late.
But have you tried it? I mean, have you made that attempt? Have you made the effort?
Yeah, there are ways we are working with government. And for me, I think where they have been very, very helpful is by helping us to facilitate the enabling environment. For instance, the district assemblies. I think they play a very critical role. For you go to some district assemblies, and most of these agro-processors are, in one way or the other, licensed by the district assemblies. And so if the district assembly is concerned about sustaining the environment, one way they can help is by encouraging all agro-processors as part of the licensing process to have an improved cook stove. And if the district assemblies can come in this way, it will be a major step. But I think for now, what we can do in addressing the access to finance issue is by working with the financial institutions. They need
and that seems to be working for you, right?
Yeah, it's it, but they need to first get to understand and appreciate the financial viability in giving funds to people to access stoves. Because, for instance, let's say a stove costs, say, 600 Ghana cedi.
How much does it cost, actually? What I was going to
so an example is 600 Ghana cedi.
600 Ghana cedi.
Yes, but
for the improved cook stove.
Yes, it's just like the latrines we have. You can have a simple pit latrine. You can have an improved pit latrine. You can have a KVIP, and you can have a water closet. So I mean, it's choice. I mean, it's a matter of choice.
Okay, so let the basic cost.
Let's
basic
say
price.
600 Ghana.
600 cedis.
Yeah, 600.
Oh, wow.
And then the project is given some support, which is about, it used to be 50%, and now it's gone down because, just as Mr. Adebayo said, we are looking at sustainability of the intervention. The banks are business people, and they want to see the business in this.
So at the end of the day, the 600, they're going to pay like double the price if they're going to go through the banks.
Not exactly.
Not exactly. When the bank gives you loan,
on how long
you hold
it
on
takes for them to pay. We are looking at maximum 3 months.
I see.
Yes, so they pay a deposit, and the stove is built, and then they pay the rest over 3 months.
Okay.
In that case, it's the total amount they pay back is lower.
I see.
The other thing I want to add is that government supports in various ways by the policy they make, because we work directly with the ministry that is responsible. We work with the Energy Commission, that is the regulator. They are looking at the standards. They are making sure that even the testing institutions are established.
How about working with those who provide the ones you call the inefficient cook stoves, working with them together so that you can, because they are producing it, they are selling. So how about working with them and bringing their mind to the need for this new one that is more efficient and saves our environment? How about working with them? Have you reached out to them?
Yes, we work directly with stove producers.
Okay. I mean,
So
the one producing the...
Not the one producing the inefficient.
You should.
ones.
Why not? I think you should reach out to them.
Well, we are discussing that.
Because that's like Galamsey. It's on the side. Yeah. I mean, not in the sense of it, but it's like it's on the side. And if you don't reach out to them, they keep producing. And it's cheaper. So people will go for it. So free consultancy, you should be paying me for this, really. Okay, we've got just like 2 minutes to wrap up, and I'm going to give you that opportunity to tell us what we lose as a country if we don't pay a lot of attention to some of these things. And I'm going to start with you.
I think our environment today is endangered than it used to be. People are extracting a lot of our wood and using them as firewood on unfortunately inefficient cook stoves. Technology abounds to address this problem, and an improved cook stove can make a huge difference. Okay. And so for me, I think that going forward, efforts should be concerted. We are all part of the problem, and I think we can all be part of the solution. Right. And so we hope that moving forward, we can be able to sustain the enthusiasm and stay committed and stay focused. Okay. Because improved cook stove holds a major potential in addressing the issue of environmental sustainability. A major potential,
hopefully so. Mr. Adeboye, what would you say?
Yes, to add to that, I want to look at energy globally. It is a driving force of development. Its production is becoming more and more expensive, and therefore what we want to see happen is to try to produce it at a minimal cost and also use it efficiently to promote sustainability. Okay. All kinds of energy, biomass, electricity, all should be used efficiently. Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's all about saving our environment. And I've been here with Mr. Samuel Adeboye. He's component manager for the Energy Development Ghana projects that is being organized by the GIZ. Thank you very much, sir, for coming through. Also here has been Alex Kwame Donyina, who is Associate Advisor on Energy with the Netherlands Development Organization. Thank you very much. Together they're working together they're working to reduce the impacts that our activities have had on the environment. Climate change, of course, is a big issue, but sometimes it sounds so technical. People hear climate change and then the gloss of it. But as you have seen in that documentary, there's so many things that we do in our own small ways that could affect it, but that could also improve it. So hopefully we'll get better at this. So this has been the AM show. My name is Gifty Andopia. Very soon Becky will be joining us with some entertainment, of course, as we look at the hard side of life. We've got to look at the light side as well. So do stay tuned for Becky. She's coming right up with entertainment.